We live in strange times. Little Nightmares 3 is made by Supermassive Games, while the company that originally made Little Nightmares 1 and 2 are making Carnival, but Little Nightmares 3 has a carnival in it as well. That kind of circular situational happenstance shouldn't be too surprising in gaming, nor should the fact that this game's a 2D platforming puzzle horror game with two protagonists tiptoeing through a place simply called the Spiral, a scrapbook of places and evil art designs that hate you in different fonts. Subscribe if you like the video. Check out the podcast 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Friday. We'll be covering this game even more. With you and your pal, either alone or with one of your questionable kid-type best friends, playing two kids who wake up and end up trying to escape the nowhere. This time you're steering two new bite-sized escape artists, Low and Alone. They're stuck in the Spiral, a patchwork of liminal hell rooms stitched together like a fever dream quilt your grandma made after binging too many mushrooms and forgetting how colors work. Each zone's got its own vibe, toy box whimsy smashed into morgue chic, and the whole point is simply, this is gonna ruin you, but we hope you get out. Jumping, shooting, smashing, sneaking, it's all here. Basic, sure, but all here. The twist is in the teamwork this time. Low brings a bow, which is great for pinging arrows, hitting switches, and announcing I value range and plausible deniability. Where Alone carries a wrench, perfect for breaking junk, smashing gears, and the kind of blue-collar puzzle solving that screams Micro was here. Together, they're basically a co-op escape room duo where one person's doing trick shots and the other commits aggravated property damage. And it's all damned gorgeous, right up until the first encounter of what I like to call pick-a-boom. Imagine a maybe toy, maybe real 60-foot tall baby. A glass-eyed death toddler of Democles always hanging right over you, always threatening to smash the shit out of you or kill you with its laser beam eye. That's right. The 60-foot tall giant baby also has a damned meltdown onesie, and you're dead if you're out there. So when not escaping Toddlerzilla, the pacifier of worlds, you're working through the levels. Tone-wise, it's the same weird misery as the original games. Grotesque creatures, oppressive atmosphere, silence so loud you can hear your own guilt, and all kinds of atmosphere. Little bits of environmental storytelling leaking in and out. Little Nightmares 3 keeps the side-eyeing puzzle platform DNA, but pokes it with a stick until it mutates a bit. The biggest change here? Online co-op. 2 players, 1 shared anxiety attack. Solving puzzles, yanking levers, and collectively stealthing around. While yes, it does have co-op, when you're playing alone, you can also whistle to call over the AI, and it's also there to give you some suggestions of what to do with looks, nods, or other activations. It actually works quite well. However, nicely enough, there is a friends pass so your buddy can join without owning the game. Now, structurally, this is the signature semi-linear creep we've seen before. Moving through moody corridors, double back and when a door laughs at you, climb into the rafters you absolutely shouldn't trust, hide in boxes like traumatized cats, and time your sprints so the camera can savor your panic. Progression still unlocks through environmental puzzles, pushing, pulling, sneaking, and praying. So when one character's out there shooting an enemy out of the sky, the other, sporting the wrench, is smacking some machinery. And they lean into that synergy. One pings a target from across the room while the other brute forces a mechanism. It's traversal and environmental mischief first, violence second, if at all. But be aware this is solidly a bit of 2 gremlins, 1 pool. You don't get that much help. You can do some damage, but ultimately you have to work together or you both get screwed, which works really well with all the tricks and traps and puzzles that lay within the game. As you consistently move across the game world, environmental storytelling exists here to move you forward and tell a little bit more about what you're doing. But be aware, this is one of those games that hedges a bit on the less talkative side, meaning you're not necessarily going to have some moment where you randomly get a cutscene that tells you the exact story. Luckily, that story is told aesthetically very well. It's that handmade nightmare diorama, equal parts beautiful claymation hangover with a hefty Tim Burton vibe. The stop-motion adjacent animation hangs on pretty much every single moment, while the sets do the high-contrast shadow ballet that it needs to give you an overall picture. The use of depth of field is fantastic in this, finding ways through the light, hiding, sneaking past some ancient evil that has enough eyes that it doesn't sleep with 1 eye open, it sleeps with like 7 of them that way. It is very cool. And crucially, the complexity does end up scaling with some of those puzzles and what you need to pay attention to graphically within the game world, so keep an eye out. Early on, it moves very fast, room to room to room, so you may not notice exactly what you're supposed to be checking on. One clean puzzle here, a single jump there, and then you're moving from spot to spot. And that level design works really well with the graphics to just keep you consistently moving throughout on your toes and never really feeling like that first part slows down. And you do always have to keep an eye out, because even if you're playing with somebody else, and more importantly, if you're playing alone, you have to watch what somebody's doing. You may see a partner look over at a door to indicate that you can go there, or the AI move off into the shadows to indicate that might be the next place that you want to stay. And this is one place where that graphical aesthetic pays off. For example, sitting there and watching the other character slowly lower below you as you're raised up on an elevator that they're holding the gear open for has this feeling of dire dread. Are you going to be able to see them again? How do you get back to them? How do you get them to move forward with you? And it's all told through this amazing low-level look that at first may actually appear to be a little bit basic, but with the level of polish that's on this game is honestly pretty visually astounding. The shift to two interactive characters does complicate it a little bit. Scenes that would previously have been just one single focal point now has two, so there's a bit of juggling. And once again, that excellent depth of field all throughout the levels ends up giving everything a sense of verticality and depth that honestly at times didn't feel like it existed in the first two games. The game also has a ton of settings, from shadows to illumination, special effects, as well as DLSS, FSR, and Unreal support. Keyboard and mouse work somewhat, but I played mostly with a controller. The game also runs very well, really regardless of the settings, from the 2080 all the way up to the 4090. Whatever I really needed to hit, I was able to with just a couple of the adjustments there. And other than one or two elements of stutter, and it wasn't during loads, it was just during different times of the game actually ran really smooth, which was quite important because some of the larger boss runaways, as we'll call them, might end up killing you if you don't pay attention and if you're really not on your game. Any kind of stutters or stuff like that may end up costing you a life, and luckily it didn't. However, there are moments where you feel like some old person missing the last turnoff because of the game's love for noticeable 2D and the way it wants to style itself. There are moments where you might miss an actual exit because of the way it's sort of ingrained into the level design itself. And also some easily confused door needs to be just right there for you to open it kind of moments of gameplay. But overall, I really like the look of the game. Each one of these has looked different, and this one is no different. Expect the franchise's signature less is more, and also more is more when it's a sudden, super loud sound kind of approach. Ambient rumbles, floorboards tattling on you, whispers that sound like they're crawling around you, then silence, which is somehow worse. It's a soundscape that consistently makes you always look around, makes you pay more attention, and ups your survival instincts. Was that a creak or was that a heartbeat? Cool, let's find out. Well, shit, here comes an unwashed 50-foot baby to come kill us for making a sound. And speaking of making a sound, yeah, your characters basically don't. Either because this place is just really fucking scary, or because prior to this event their vocal cords were removed, just because in this world someone would find that funny as hell. Which means lots of communicating between players, especially as the levels get bigger or more advanced. So you have to pay attention to that. There aren't a lot of games where I'll sit there and say I like a mostly mute character. I actually do think it works for these particular games, especially ones that really are so ingrained and about fear. But does being scared equal fun, or are you scared all the time, and is that enjoyable? A good deal of Little Nightmares is actually fun. I liked exploring, looking around for environmental story bits, and watching and wondering what next weird piece of odd puzzle kit the game would end up throwing at me. But just like the other two games, there's something about these that I like, whether it be Limbo, this one, or many others within this genre. There's just something that speaks to me about the game world. And that might be because, like the others, and like Limbo and other titles before it, they all hinge on a pyramid of theme, gameplay, and experimentation, as well as feeding a bit of the story to you in their own unique way. For every odd experiment you successfully pull off, you wonder why the hell it was set up that way in this game, which darkens the theme even more. Every time you creep down a tunnel just big enough to hold you, but never going exactly as far as it should, or being big enough for anybody else, or ending in danger, you consistently vacillate between the idea that you're either an experiment or an invading blood cell in the diseased body of some unknown puzzlework creature. And knowing it's here, you have to either help it or kill it. And that's actually the question as you continue through this. As you consistently move through the spiral from one broken room to the other, you begin to wonder if you want the answer to that. And speaking of answers, this video's got some. Let's talk about the rating. Unless you're a very big fan of these type of titles, be aware that it is leaner. It does have some patchwork moments that definitely didn't continue to hold my attention as much as I had hoped. The others have had those, give or take, in different moments, but this one I definitely noticed. I do like the idea of this one, and each game has its own theme, and this does feel somewhat fitting compared to the other two in a sort of trilogy of sorts. But in all honesty, as I continued to play through it, it just started to not really grab me. Some of the issues, it just really didn't end up feeling as good as the other games. I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, check out the Patreon. It absolutely helps. Join the tons of people who are coming back in. We've only got a couple more spots on the 50% off group that jumps into Discord and gets to play every single Saturday with us, as well as many other days. We ended up doing 8 hours of full motion video games. Let's see, last weekend, that was a blast. Also, you can check out the podcast every single Friday, 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, on the Best Gaming Podcast channel, where we sit down to talk about games, life, science, whatever. And there's also many podcasts and many different discussions throughout the week. Peace out. Hope you like the game if you get it.